sightings of ghosts, an abandoned insane asylum, creepy ass dolls, werewolves, and witches, honey. Do not obey. Stay woke. Nobody's gonna stop me. This ish is real. Do not obey. Stay woke. Scary as hell. What's up, guys? It's me, Do Not Obey, and let's get into another video. Now we're gonna dive into the Grand Canyon. Allegedly the lies, period, the hidden truths, and all the mysteries and things that people have been trying to say that have been covered up. Hope you guys do enjoy this video, and like I always say, do not obey, stay woke. Peace.
The Smithson family and the history of the Smithsonian Institute is something that we could never talk too much about. There's just incredible underground storage vaults in the Smithsonian Institute where they it's like I call it informational Area 51. Cavern system was uncovered in the bottom of the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon was actually not a small river carving it through millions of years. The fact is, with the Uinta Basin, all the inland ocean that was all part of that, something cataclysmic happened, fracturing of the rock around the time of 30 AD that caused a massive amount of water to go out over a short period of time and carve the Grand Canyon out. There's plenty of evidence of that. Major Powell did his first expedition down the Grand Canyon. Everybody thought he was crazy as a loon. You know, there's this one-armed major was lost his arm in the Civil War, coming down in the 1870s. They mapped this great river. They thought he would never make it out. If you look at the Powell Museum there in Page, Arizona, there's little boats and they go over the cataracts and the massive amount of water. It was an amazing feat. He survived, as we know. He had a Native American Navajo guide that basically took him down, not expecting to even know if he'd survived the trip. Powell wrote everything in his report to Congress, and he explains what he found looking up at this cave, which was quite a ways up from where the river was flowing in 1870s. And as the explanation went, he went up into it, was able to rock climb up to there's like a keyhole opening that was not natural. It was absolutely carved. And he went in and was shocked with what they found. Egyptian artifacts galore inside. So he didn't have time, of course, to do a full-scale excavation, but in his report to Congress, he made mention of it. Well, that, of course, garnered the attention of the Smithson family, and the Smithsonian Institute sponsored a second trip through, this time loaded with photography equipment to document what was in there. And so the Smithsonian Institute went in there and, my goodness, took all kinds of pictures. And instead of going on down the river, they actually hiked up to the top of the rim and went overland from there to map that out. Okay, that's part of the unknown history of the early expeditions of the Grand Canyon. Named G.E. Kincaid, who is an employee of the Smithsonian Institute. He's survives the Great War, comes in, and he's funded by Smithsonian to go back in cavern system. So Kincaid does that, goes in under the disguise of mineral exploration, prospecting, okay, and he locates the exact same Powell cave, goes in with his photography equipment, and brings out a massive amount of precious metal artifacts. Comes up over the top. He's so excited about what he's found, he makes a front page headlines. Amazing find in the Grand Canyon. News articles on my blog, which was all from, again, the Smithsonian Institute. Well, my blog was shut down and erased, actually, in December of 2019. A lot of people, oh, wow, this is fantastic information, Doc. I just post them. So the question that people ask me is, where'd you get these pictures? Well, I had he's now deceased, so I can talk about him now. A friend named Dr. Melvin Laney in Washington, D.C. had high-level security clearance, and he had full unfettered access to the Smithsonian's archives. He sent me this information tied into what I'm working in the property here in Utah. Now, another story for another time, but it tied in, most definitely ties in, this story of G.E. Kincaid and the amazing discoveries at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. PowerPoint presentation to people who want to come and see this. I think it's interesting.
Smithsonian says now it never did happen, but you got into the actual archives. You got actual documentation.
It's an amazing, jaw-dropping story. Let me just give you some hints of what we're going to be showing. Massive amounts of mummies. And the big thing is, Terry, is there were thousands and thousands of panels of Egyptian hieroglyphics that have been interpreted. And what it tells the story of should rewrite all the world's history, frankly. Because it's none other than the biblical Joseph of Egypt and his history. It answers the question, really, it was more than just a deal with Potiphar's wife that elevated Joseph to be the most powerful vizier, and second only to the Pharaoh himself. It tells the story of how he ascended and why he was able to bring all the grains and survive the famines that went on. It's all in the history of this cave in the bottom of the Grand Canyon. It's an amazing story.
Take a look at what they found in the Grand Canyon. You know the 20-foot tall Grand Canyon people that the wedding couple found earlier this week that scared them away? Well, this is the creature. It is an unidentified creature. It's known to be very violent. It seems that we don't know any more information that it came from an asteroid or a UFO. Take a look at
90% of the Grand Canyon is off limits to the general public, which is backed by military services. But why? In 1908, President Teddy Roosevelt decided that he wanted to protect the canyon from timber and mining operations. With this knowledge, a gentleman by the name of G.E. Kincaid, along with the Smithsonian professor by the name of S.A. Johnson, decided that they were going to get a group together to do one final mineral expedition before it closed. What they discovered, however, was completely unexpected. About 40 miles upriver from El Tivar Crystal Canyon, they discovered sediment stains that didn't make sense for Arizona, USA. In addition to that, they also noticed a cavern entrance with steps leading up to it that was clearly a man-made structure. Once inside, they found an intricate underground city that could fit up to 50,000 people. There were ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs on the wall, granaries, tools made of copper. It did make sense. What all of this pointed to was an ancient civilization with advanced technology. In America, in Arizona, with connections to ancient Egypt. After finishing his exploration, G.E. Kincaid, recognizing the massiveness of this discovery, decided that he needed to go back and take an even larger group and bring the Smithsonian along. But they weren't going to allow him to do that. In fact, they offed him. And now, in 2024, the Smithsonian completely denies all accounts of this and calls it a hoax.
You're here. Do it again. I am trying to process what just happened. I just had the most terrifying experience at the Grand Canyon with my boyfriend, and I just wanted to come on here and talk about what happened and see if anyone else has experienced something like this, because I'm really freaked out. So we were at the Grand Canyon and we decided to stay there to stargaze because the stars are amazing there. There's no light pollution. So we were sitting by the rim. We were sitting there in the dark and we couldn't see anything. And my boyfriend just had this awful feeling that something bad was going to happen. And that's not like him at all. He never feels like that. Even at night, he's not scared of the dark. He just had this awful feeling and we needed to go back to the car like right then. We started walking back down the trail. It was about a 20-minute walk back to the car in pitch black through a bunch of trees. Out of nowhere, we heard a whistle behind us from the trees and there was nobody behind us. We pointed our flashlight at the trees because we thought maybe a person was hiding in there. Nobody was there. We decided to pick up our pace a little bit to get back to the car faster. And my boyfriend, he started panicking. He just felt like we were going the wrong way. He was trying to get us to go backwards towards where the whistling sound came from, which was not the right way. That was the opposite direction of our car, but he thought that's where our car was. And I had to convince him that we were on the right path. So eventually, after walking down the trail, we ended up seeing the visitor center and we knew we parked near there. And my boyfriend, for some reason, he just wanted to go out into the dark area. He thought that's where we were parked, but I knew that's not where it was. I knew we were near the visitor center, but he wanted to walk like the opposite direction of where we were. So I convinced him that that was not the right way and we needed to go the other way. So we eventually found the parking lot where our car was, and we were walking towards our car, and out of nowhere we heard this awful panting noise, and it sounded like it was right in front of us. We were pointing the flashlight everywhere. There was nothing there. We couldn't see anything, and the noise, it just sounded like it was like running at us. We then like ran towards the visitor center. So after we collected ourselves at the visitor center, we just had to go back to the car because there was nobody around. Nobody was there to help us. So we just had to run towards the car. That's all we could do. And we went back to the car. The noise was gone. There was nothing. And we are convinced that there was like something demonic or something there. I don't know. I'm really scared. Hi. This is a follow-up to my Grand Canyon demon video. There are so many comments that we encountered a mountain lion, and I am here to put that to rest. I'm gonna insert a clip of a mountain lion whistling right now. That's not what we heard. We heard a man whistling. Do your best to imagine me as a 50-year-old man with a deep voice, and I'm gonna try and recreate the whistle we heard. I hate doing that on camera. Okay, so on top of the whistle not matching, I also can't find a single video of a mountain lion panting. I don't even know if they do pant, but it doesn't seem like it as far as I can tell. I'm now going to talk about the second most popular theory in the comments. That was that we encountered a skinwalker, and I'm not going to lie, this one freaks me out. So for those of you that don't know, in Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a witch that can turn into an animal. They tend to mimic sounds in order to draw people's attention and lure their victims to their death. As much as I hate to admit it, this really fits with what we encountered that night, and we were in Navajo territory. The whistle could have been to lure us into the trees, and I don't even want to think about what could have happened. The panting could have been it mimicking some sort of animal, like a dog or a coyote. I've also seen that skinwalkers tend to mess with people's heads, which explains why my boyfriend kept wanting to go into the wrong direction. I hate thinking that's what we encountered, but right now it's the thing that makes the most sense.
Look what I found in the Grand Canyon. Some reason I can't get a street view on this thing. This right here is very strange. this blew my mind. This might be some underground base.
We brought a geologist out that had a minor in archaeology, and he'd been to Egypt. And I took him to this place where some of these things, in this one area that we found more things there than anywhere else. And so I took him out. I said, shut your eyes. I don't want you to see until I tell you to open them. And so I stood him there so he could see where the statue was. I says, okay, open your eyes and tell me what you see. He says, I'm in the Valley of the Kings. He says, that's how they do it in Egypt. At the point of two canyons, they always put a big statue to say, this is ours.
This is our land.
And so I thought that was interesting, and so that was kind of fun to hear that.
Yeah. We've also found ankhs. There's a picture that we found of two men. I assume they were men. One of them has a kind of a fez hat like the crowns that the pharaohs wore, fez, with a row in the middle of it. I mean, that row didn't just happen to, by accident, be there. I've talked to archaeologists, and their comment to me on some of these things, especially the bust I found that's at the top of a cliff, they said, well, that happened from rocks falling down and breaking it that way. And I said, that's interesting, because it's at the top of a cliff, and rocks do fly up.
She said, thanks for educating me. So we've both learned a lot from the local archaeologists here. And we know that rocks can fall up and carve.
And I have contacted, we've read a lot of the people that are trying to debunk it, and I have actually contacted two of them. One of them is back in New York. I think his last name's Carbo or something like that. And then another one in Washington State. And my only question was, I'd like to see your proofs. I never told them I was for or against before that. I said, I'd just like to see your proofs that you're using to justify that this is not true. Well, they won't show us anything. And I said, so what you're really telling me is that you've just made this up because you can't show me any proofs. Anyway, they got frustrated. The first one got frustrated and wouldn't talk to me anymore. And then about a week or two later, maybe 4 weeks later, I talked to the one in Washington. And when I got him on the phone, before I got very far at all, he already knew that I'd talked to this guy in New York. That's how tight they are. They got to all talk to each other to make sure that they know that somebody's trying to find out something.
Keep their story straight.
Keep the story straight.
And he just tried to look down at me, so to speak, with his language as well. You and your little tinfoil hat. But none of them wants to show any proof. I don't think either one of them have actually been to the Grand Canyon.
I call these people armchair archaeologists. They don't go out. They just sit there and think they know things that they won't get out and look at.
And you guys have made a ton of trips out here.
Yes.
Taking your binoculars, photographs of everything. And after you lost your photos, you came back, and Donna, you told me what would happen to you out here.
I can't remember.
The car.
The cars.
Another black car.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Another black Suburban, when we were out here,
followed us.
Fell in behind us. We didn't think anything about it. We'll go ahead and tell Donna was driving so she can tell the story.
I pulled off the side of the road because I thought he wanted to pass, because the speed limit's like 45 in the one canyon I was in. And I pulled off on a real narrow spot so that the car could go by. Well, he pulled in right behind me, and I'm going, what in the heck are you doing? Anyway, another car passed, so I waved him on, and he wouldn't go. So finally I backed up enough that I could get out of the place and left, and we came up to a view site, and here he comes right behind us. Parks behind us, does the whole thing like he's trying to catch up with us. Go to another one, here he is again. I took off again, didn't stay at that one because I wanted to get rid of him.
So I said to Donna, pull in and out of every one we come to. What did you do, Donna?
We went almost to Cape Royal, and there's a place just before you get on the real steep part and the real sharp turn where you can pull out and park. It's wider. So I whipped a U-turn there and was going to go on, and here comes that car and pulls up right behind us again.
So,
I was ticked.
So we decided to go to dinner at the lodge. We come out, tell them what's going on, Donna, after dinner.
We come out, no one's bothering us. We get down to the road where it turns off to go to Cape Royal and Imperial Point, and all of a sudden this car's following us again. And so I finally get far enough ahead of him that he can't see around the corners and pull into the station where you come in, and there happened to be some big semis parked off on the side, and I pulled in behind the semis so that they couldn't see us, and they passed, and that was the end of it. But it was a little hair raising to have that happen.
So that was a black SUV?
Oh yeah, just like out of the movies.
Did you happen to get a license
There
plate?
were no plates.
There were no plates.
License plate.
No
And
license
the
plates.
guys were both smoking, because when they rolled the windows down, the smoke would just barrel out, and the guy would always stick his head out to try and see, like he could see something in our car or something. I don't know what it was, but
I don't know. We still don't know what they want.
Unnerved me.
So anyway, there's a lot of, so that made Donna and I even more interested in we call it the quest.
That just made you more determined.
Yes, we just call it the quest. And so we just kept on looking in different places, especially this one canyon that we went in, and kept finding more statues. And then the thing that I really like is that we have two good pictures of horses. I mean, they're big. They're probably 40 feet big, tall. And I really liked to show us that, yes, there were horses before the Spaniards.
Oh my gosh, you guys are not going to believe this. We just saw that door open and shut.
Wait, oh my god!
Yeah, oh my god.
Oh my god!
It just moved.
Holy shit. Stop.
Do you see that?
Zoom in. Zoom in. No, to the right. Wait, what the fuck? Do you see that?
The Grand Canyon is one of the most breathtaking wonders on Earth. Every year, millions of people visit its stunning landscapes, but this beautiful place has a darker side. Over the years, dozens of people have mysteriously disappeared here, vanishing without a trace. Since the 1920s, there have been documented cases of hikers, campers, and even experienced adventurers going missing in the Grand Canyon. Some accidents seem explainable, getting lost in the vast wilderness or accidents in the rough terrain, but others defy logic. This is Glenn and Bessie Hyde, a newlywed couple who disappeared in 1928 while trying to raft the Colorado River. Their boat was found intact with no sign of struggle or an accident, yet the couple was never seen again. Search parties combed the area, but no bodies were ever recovered. Some believe that the Hydes may have met a more supernatural end, perhaps tied to the Native American spirits said to reside in the canyon. Legends among the Hopi and Navajo tribes speak of malevolent spirits who guard the canyon. Some believe that these spirits may be responsible for disappearances. Others tell stories of caves hidden deep in the canyon, where those who stumble on them are never seen again. So what's behind these vanishings? Is it harsh, unforgiving terrain? Or could there be something more at play? Something we can't explain?
Real quick before this ends, y'all may not be able to see this comment, but her name is Malin Hagenson. She put, "That's what happens when you steal a whole country." Girl, I know that's right.
The Grand Canyon is a place of immense beauty, but it's also a place of mystery. A place where people can simply vanish, leaving no trace behind. For those brave enough to venture into the depths, the question remains, will they return?
This is the Temple of Ra, found in the Grand Canyon. Artifacts the Smithsonian say never existed were supposedly found by John Powell and K.E. Kincaid. These are hieroglyphics supposedly found in John Powell's cave. This is the Temple of Isis. There was also a golden Egyptian tablet supposedly found there with some sort of cuneiform language on the tablet. The temples of Ra, Osiris, Horus, and Set sit right amongst each other in the Grand Canyon. These are the supposed caves that was found with the Artifact Center. There was also a Hindu amphitheater there, and this artifact was so-called found there also. It's real ironic, huh? We know the truth now.